Mrparka here to review a new one from Arrow Films. This is called We Are the Flesh. Yeah, this is actually a Mexican movie, and it had a huge buzz. It was supposed to be really crazy, surreal, extreme, sexual. So I was interested. I'm into like all sorts of crazy cult cinema, obviously. So We Are the Flesh. Let's get into this one. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, which I kind of like. Especially when you're doing kind of a crazy approach to a film. So it doesn't really wear out its welcome, but its welcome is it's not necessarily your typical welcome. It's definitely a punch to the face, or at least a mind-bending experience. What we have here is a couple of young kids, probably in their early 20s. They stumble into this abandoned building of sorts, and they find this homeless man or this crazy person. I don't know if he's homeless. It seems that everybody in this world may be homeless. There's definitely something going on the outside, at least you're led to believe. And he's distilling this sort of alcohol that makes him hallucinate and go mad. And he agrees to let these kids stay with him, and there forms this very strange relationship with these three. Where things constantly change between them. But the brother and sister, who are the two kids, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. The old man starts to push incestuous tones on them that they should have sex, and the brother is very reluctant. And pretty soon, as a quote by the main guy here, the old man, he says, "When you embrace solitude, you kind of embrace darkness," or something along those lines. It's a line that says, "When you embrace solitude, you basically come into your animal instinct," and that's pretty much what happens here. He starts demanding that they help him build this kind of weird structure in the film, and what they're doing is they're putting in all this weird cardboard, and as it progresses it gets crazier and crazier and more surreal, and you realize it's a cave. By the end of the movie, you don't even remember that this place at any point looked like a real place, and it's just very brightly lit and crazy colors and real surreal imagery. But then we get into the crazy extreme side of the movie. There's some pretty graphic violence, but mostly the stuff that really gets under your skin is the gratuitous nudity involving incestuous stuff and rape and things like that. It's just really uncomfortable situation here, but it is very artfully done. The film is kind of surreal art house, but extreme at the same time. So when you have something with such an extreme style, but it's also really competent, you kind of have to respect it. At least I do. That's how I feel. And there are some interesting concepts going on in the film. I'm not from Mexico, so a lot of the stuff, I believe, there's a documentary on here where a little featurette where a woman's just like, she's an expert on this kind of surrealism, extreme cinema, and she's going depth about the movie, and she points out a lot of themes that I didn't really notice. A couple of the victims in there, who they represent and stuff, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Some of the stuff I thought, I was like, I didn't really see that at all, but I'm not the expert, I guess. But yeah, We Are the Flesh. It's not everybody's bag. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you're interested in that kind of surreal, really beautiful looking film that has awful disturbing stuff in it at the same time, you got to see We Are the Flesh. The music in the movie is really powerful. The performances are they're completely they're free. They just don't care. They're really ballsy, but they're also really good at the same time. Not every brave performance is a truly great performance, but a great and brave performance is something to look out for. And all the three major players in this one are all brave, and they're all great. I was actually impressed with some of the acting, especially from the lead, the older man. He's kind of a big deal in Mexico, I guess, but some of his body movements and stuff actually made me scared from him. He's a bulky guy, but I don't think he's the tallest guy. But that never really registered with me because he was so scary and aggressive that he just kind of dominated the screen when he was on there. But yeah, the things go wild and weird, and sometimes there's lapse of reason, but as it progresses, it gets stranger and stranger. And there's at points when I was like, did I miss a chapter? Did I skip something on accident? Because I was lost. There's just a big jump in logic at times, but logic is not this movie's friend. The colors and the cinematography and the music and the performances and the themes and the crazy batshit stuff going on is its friend. But We Are the Flesh, it comes with a nice little I can't think of the actor, the woman's name who does it. She's like a film expert. Let me see, Vergia Salavi, but she talks about Jodorowsky and all sorts of other, Marquis de Sade's influences on this movie, and she goes in the depth even from the characters' names. And there's also interviews with the director and the three main cast members, and talk about the director's process, which shows you that this guy's thinking outside the box, and he's a fresh young voice, which is kind of cool. Regardless if anyone disliked this movie, I can't see them saying, "Well, I'm not interested in anything he does next." There is, like I said, some of these themes and stuff that flirt with that line that some people may be like, "Well, that's just bullshit." Sometimes that happens with our house films, especially when they're thought provoking. You might think it's just all bullshit, but I enjoyed the hell out of watching it. I thought it was very unique and different. There's also the trailer on there and some stills as well. It is in Spanish, and it does have English subtitles. But yeah, really cool film from Arrow, which is surprising. They usually don't do new stuff, but they took a chance on this one, and I think it's a winner. I think that it's very interesting, and I like to see otherworld cinema. And there's some stuff coming out of Mexico that's pretty interesting with this and Atros. Well, Atros, is your typical kind of snuff film, but it is very well done for what it is. So just let's kind of look out for some of this stuff. But I'm Mr. Parka. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
No te vamos a matar por dinero, ni por el placer de verte sufrir. Te vamos a matar por tu sangre, por tu carne y por una serie de exquisitas sustancias que lo recorren. Te agarramos a ti por azar, y recuerda que el azar es el criminal más grande que ha pisado la tierra.